Every year on May 19th, an anonymous bouquet of red roses appears at the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula within the Tower of London. No one knows who sends them, but the message is as clear as blood. Lay these upon the grave of Anne Boleyn. Nearly 500 years have passed, yet the ghost of this woman has never truly found peace. She was the first queen in English history to be beheaded, the victim of the most vicious political conspiracy of all time. In just 17 days, a mere 17 days, Anne plummeted from the pinnacle of absolute power to the depths of hell. She was accused of treason, adultery, and the most disgusting charge of all, incest. Today, we are not just recounting history. We are going to track her final hours, hour by hour, peeling back layers of lies to find the naked truth. Who set the trap for Anne? Why did Henry VIII, the man who tore apart the Roman Church to marry her, become his wife's executioner? Buckle up, because we are entering a murder case legalized by the Crown. 8 hours a.m. Tuesday, May 2nd in 1536. London wakes up to fog and the hustle of trade. At Whitehall Palace, King Henry VIII is enjoying a lavish breakfast. But behind the facade of indulgence is a calculating mind. He has just signed a deadly order. A secret messenger is dispatched, riding hard towards the east, carrying the warrant for the wife Henry once swore eternal love to. A few miles away at the magnificent Palace of Greenwich, Anne Boleyn is watching a game of tennis. She is completely oblivious to the Reaper's scythe inching towards her neck. Today, she is alone. Henry left yesterday without a single word of goodbye after an unusual fit of rage. Anne stands there, draped in crimson velvet, a symbol of power, but in reality she is standing on the edge of a cliff. The messenger arrives. The order is concise but chilling. The Queen must present herself before the Privy Council immediately. Anne's heart stops. The Privy Council is not a place for tea and conversation. It is a place of judgment over life and death. But who is orchestrating this? Look into the shadows of the Tudor court. It is Thomas Cromwell, the son of a blacksmith who climbed to the peak of power through ruthlessness and cunning. He is the architect of this case. Cromwell knows what Henry wants, a new wife and a son. And to get that, Anne must disappear. Cromwell has spent weeks gathering rumors, bribing witnesses, and weaving a terrifying web of sin around Anne. He doesn't just want to dethrone her, he wants to obliterate her. Anne enters the council chamber. She faces the most powerful men in the kingdom, and painfully, one of them is the Duke of Norfolk, her own uncle. Instead of protecting his niece, he looks at her with contempt. Tut, tut! He clicks his tongue, a small sound that holds the ultimate humiliation. They throw disgusting accusations in her face. Adultery with Henry Norris, the king's best friend. Adultery with Mark Smeaton, a lowly musician, and a mysterious third man. Anne is stunned. "I am the king's true wedded wife," she screams. But her words are meaningless to men who have already written the verdict. The betrayal of family, the cruelty of politics, it all crashes down on the head of this petite woman. Anne is placed under house arrest in her chambers. She tries to maintain her dignity by sitting down for dinner as usual. But a small detail reveals her collapse. The king's server has vanished. No one wishes her a good meal. No one bows. The maids look at her with eyes full of fear and pity. She sits beneath the canopy of a state, but the crown on her head now feels as heavy as a mountain. Panic sets in. Anne realizes this is not one of Henry's usual tantrums. This is the end. Just 3 months ago, she carried the hope of the entire kingdom, a son. But that fateful miscarriage killed not only the child, but also Henry's love for her. Look at the most happy medal that Anne had minted in anticipation of her son. It lies cold in the British Museum, a heartbreaking relic of shattered dreams. Henry VIII was obsessed with a male heir. When Anne miscarried a boy in Henry's eyes, she committed a heinous crime. He believed the marriage was cursed. And to lift the curse, the witch had to be sacrificed. Thomas Cromwell seized upon the king's fear. He whispered poison into Henry's ear. Anne didn't just fail to give you a son. She betrayed you. She sleeps with dozens of men to conceive a bastard. Henry, with his bruised ego and growing paranoia, swallowed the pill whole. That afternoon, Anne is escorted to a barge, not for a pleasure cruise, but to the Tower of London. Thomas Cromwell personally escorts her. He wants to ensure the prey does not escape. The journey takes place in broad daylight, a calculated public humiliation. Thousands of Londoners flock to the riverbanks to watch the whore being arrested. They cheer, they curse. Anne sits there stiff as a statue, enduring every scrutinizing gaze. Does she pass through Traitor's Gate? No, she is taken through the court gate, but the destination is still a prison. The cannons from the tower roar like thunder, signaling the collapse of a dynasty. Stepping into the tower, Anne collapses. "Mr. Kingston, do I go into a dungeon?" she asked the constable with a trembling voice. But no, she is taken to the very same royal apartments where she slept the night before her glorious coronation 3 years ago. The irony of fate. The room that was once the starting point of her glory has become her cage. Anne laughs hysterically, then bursts into tears. Her mind is fracturing. She screams, asking for her father, for her brother. She doesn't know that her father has abandoned her to save his own skin, and her brother. Oh, George Boleyn's fate is far more tragic. While Anne is imprisoned, George Boleyn rushes to Whitehall Palace to plead for his sister. But he walks straight into a trap. Cromwell arrests him on the spot, and this is when the darkest charge is unleashed: incest. They accuse Anne and George of carnal relations, an unforgivable sin, an ultimate humiliation striking directly at the honor of the Boleyn family. This is Cromwell's finishing move. He knew adultery might not be enough to execute a queen, but incest? That is a one-way ticket to hell. At Whitehall, Henry receives the report from Cromwell. He reads about his wife's abominable sins, and he weeps. But do not be fooled by those tears. They are tears of self-pity, not mercy for Anne. He cries because he feels like a victim, a cuckolded husband. But moments later, he is happily partying through the night with ladies. He celebrates Anne's downfall like a child with a new toy. Henry's cruelty lies in his ability to discard a woman from his life as easily as changing a shirt. Night falls on the Tower of London. Anne lies tossing and turning in the luxurious but cold room. Surrounding her are spies, aunts and cousins placed by Cromwell to listen to every word she mutters in her sleep. She is utterly alone. She writes a final letter to Henry, or so history believes. "Try me, good king, but let me have a lawful trial." A heartbreaking plea from an innocent wife. But Anne does not know that her trial has been decided before it even begins. There is no justice for the king's concubine. In just 24 hours, Anne Boleyn lost everything: freedom, honor, family, and soon, her life. The arrest of Anne Boleyn was not an act of law enforcement. It was a perfect political assassination, orchestrated by a brutal king and a cunning advisor. Anne's story is an eternal warning about the dangers of absolute power and the fragility of women in a patriarchal society. What do you think? Was Anne an innocent victim or a failed political player? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow. Part 2, The Shameful Trial and the Bloody End of Anne Boleyn. See you in the shadows of history.